I stand here today very frustrated over the number of people that we're having killed in our community. Frustrated that our community in Richland County and the city of Columbia is just not enraged about what's happening. Chief Holbrook and I talked earlier this morning, and for 5 years both of us have been talking about the number one problem that we've got in the Columbia area is young people with guns who have zero conscience, who does not value human life whatsoever, and who do not hesitate taking a gun and shooting people or doing a drive-by shooting in a house. I'm not going to say the word out of control, but it's awful, the number of shootings that we have. The city of Columbia is dealing with 3 shootings within 24-hour period of time. We've had young people that's been shot and killed. Just earlier today, we had a fight at Lower Richland High School where a 17-year-old was involved in the fight who had a loaded gun on school campus, and he's charged with that. Our community's got to get involved. Back in 2000, when I started talking about gangs, we had a lot of denial, and it took young people to get killed and the community realized we had gangs, and then the community got engaged, and we saw a difference. We saw some positive results in reducing gang activity. We have not seen that same community engagement when it comes to young people with guns who are out here shooting people. We have 11 murders in Richland County for the Sheriff's Department already this year. That's one more than we had last year. And it scares me. Chief Holbrook and I both talked about the summer's not even here yet, and we're seeing shootings, and it scares us to death. We can't do it. The police department, the sheriff's department cannot stop this. We can arrest those responsible. We can pray for the families, but we can't stop the killings that we've got going on because we've got young people who are getting guns, young people who are not being taught the dangers of guns, not being taught respect for human life. So it's going to take parents, grandparents, churches, schools, community leaders. It's going to take everybody working together to do something about this problem that we've got. I'm frustrated that I'm standing here today and going to tell you about a murder case. Poor innocent man, 62 years old, sleeping in his bed, and he gets shot and killed. Had absolutely nothing to do with why his house was being shot at, but as a result, he's dead because of some silly fighting, some silly retaliation where people are dying. This started on April the 5th, where a Devon Richardson and his girlfriend is the daughter of Mr. Charlie Jackson, Jr., the man who was killed. So his daughter and her boyfriend go to a house on Lucille Drive, which is in the city of Columbia. They engage in a fight with another female. Richardson's hit in the head with a bottle. They all leave, so Richardson goes back, gets his gun. He goes back to the house on Lucille Drive and does a drive-by shooting. Shoots into that house. 6 shell casings are recovered at that scene. Well, in that house lives a man named Troy Stevenson. So Troy Stevenson gets his gun, and he drives back over to DeVoe Street, where Mr. Charlie Jackson is sleeping in his bed. And he shoots into that DeVoe Street house 8 times. One of those bullets hit Mr. Jackson laying in his bed, and he's killed. Then Troy Stevenson goes back to his house. While we're investigating the shooting and the murder on DeVoe Street, we recover this gun with this magazine that holds 30 rounds. You can see this is not some gun that you would use to go hunting with or really even self-defense. That's nothing but a killing machine right there. This gun was used by Richardson to go to the house on Lucille Drive and do that drive-by shooting. We matched the shell casings found on Lucille Drive to this gun. This gun was found in the driveway. This gun was in a car parked in the driveway of Mr. Jackson's house, and we recovered that gun. We have arrested Troy Stevenson for the murder of Mr. Jackson. He's charged with that murder. We've arrested Richardson for shooting in the house on Lucille Drive. It's just sad. I don't know another way to describe this case. It's just sad that Mr. Jackson lost his life, but that his daughter was involved in this. And I'm going to have to say shame on her for doing media interviews and getting the community stirred up when she's saying that she knows nothing about what happened to her father, that it's just totally no idea what happened, when she knew daggone well what had happened because she was part of it. Part of the responsibility for her dad's dying is on her head because her involvement in the initial fight and then her boyfriend doing a drive-by and then a retaliation. We're talking about people 26 years old, 19 years old. Again, young people with guns like this who just don't care. What do you think when you shoot a gun like this multiple times into a house, that nobody's going to get hurt, or you just don't care? And that's what happened this time. He didn't care. Now, Troy Stevenson, you may recognize his name. He was involved in a case in 2013 where Kelly Honeywell was killed at the bakery on Beltline. He was initial trial. It was a hung jury. He was later tried again and found not guilty. But he was involved in that case. And here he is again, back into another case where somebody's dead. It's sad. It's frustrating. Chief Holbrook and I talk every single day, just trying to find out what we can do, talking to community groups, talking to community leaders. You know, we've been beating this drum now for 5 years, and our community has still not heard it. They've still not heard the message we're giving out and starting to take some action. A lot of talking, but no action. It's time for action. And if the community doesn't do it, then you're going to see me up here time and time again holding up a gun like this and talking about somebody who's... It's just sad. Questions?
And as you can see, so is that gun considered illegal?
Well, it's illegal when it's used in a murder. It's not a stolen gun. We haven't. We have a trace going on the gun. We haven't got back yet to determine where it came from, but it's not reported stolen. Do you want to consider it illegal? I don't know. It's got a silencer on it. It's got a high-capacity magazine. I guess if you have a CWP, you can walk around with that out in the open now, according to the laws of South Carolina just passed. That's a shame. Instead of talking about taking guns off the street, we're talking about putting more guns on the street. You know, we've got to get these guns out of these young people's hands, but we've got to change their mindset and their heart, and we haven't done that yet.
Why do you think there's such an uptick right now in shootings and murders?
People don't care. Young people don't care. A young person with a gun like that doesn't have any conscience, and they have not had it pounded into their head that that gun's going to get you one or two places, a cemetery or a prison. And that's where a gun's going to get you. But our young people don't think that way. They think, you know, I'm going to get respect, I'm going to get payback. You know, you hit me in the head with a bottle, I'm going to do a drive-by shooting at your house. You do a drive-by shooting at my house, I'm going to go do one at your house. What have you accomplished? We got one person dead, we got 2 people arrested. Sad.
As you mentioned, this isn't something new. This has been going on for years. Are you starting to lose confidence that we're able to be able to get a handle on these things?
No, I'm not going to give up hope. Chief Holbrook's not going to give up hope. We're going to do our part. We're going to continue to work. Our investigators are going to continue to investigate these cases, and we're going to lock people up. But is that going to stop it? No, we're only part of the solution. We're not the solution. This whole community, which includes law enforcement, that's the solution. And right now, you only got a few parts of the solution working. The rest of them are sitting back and doing nothing but talking and just not enraged about this. Let's get enraged about this here. Let's get enraged about people dying and young people going to prison. That's what we need to be enraged about. Y'all.